Hello everyone, Juniper here, and I'm very excited to finally get to do my review of my new Nuuna notebook. I will be sure to link everything down below for those of you who are curious, so I'm excited. As you can probably tell already, I got a pink pearl Nuuna. It is very holographic and very reflective. Picks up fingerprints like you would not believe, so hopefully that won't look too bad. So one of the first things I want to say about my Nuuna is that it is I like it. I am in love with this notebook. That being said, there's a lot of reasons why you might not love this notebook, and there's a lot of reasons why you might love it as well. It's you need to have a preference for this book is all I'm gonna say, and you're gonna find out why when I go through this video. So I have a small size Nuuna. It is about the size of my hand, a little bit smaller actually than my hand. For some comparison, I have a couple different books here. So first we'll start out with the A5 Look Term. So this is my A5 Look Term. It is a navy blue, and this is what I'm currently bullet journaling in with excitement to start March in my Nuuna. So here's an idea for you. Get that as lined up as best as I can. So gives you an idea of about how similar in size they're going to be, which is not at all. It is much smaller than an A5. Another really popular size right now I'm seeing is the B6. This is because the Planner Society released a beautiful cover. I opted to not use the B6 cover just because I really wasn't a fan. This is a insert I got from Paper Penguin Company. I will link her shop down below, but I absolutely love her inserts. The paper quality is amazing for those of you curious. This is just a graph. So for the B6, this is how much smaller this is compared to the B6. So it's not too much smaller, but it's definitely a good, about an inch and then a quarter of an inch, give or take. And then the most popular comparison is definitely the Hobonichi, and it's about the same size. It's only about like a fraction of an inch bigger on each side, and then obviously it's rounded, so the corners are a little nicer and cleaner. But otherwise, it's the same size. As far as thickness goes, it is the same size thickness as the Hobonichi, and it is, I believe, I got a little bit of chunk going on, so it is actually thicker than the Look Term. Now, the pages of my Nuuna are 120 GSM or 120 grams. I'm not sure, it just said 120 G, so I'm assuming it means grams. There are 176 pages. They are numbered. Let me try and turn that around, it'll make it easier. No, it will not. Come on. Excuse my not wanting to focus here. Okay, well, it doesn't really want to play along. There's 176 pages. They do number them on the bottom, which is really nice. A lot of the older Nuunas I don't think actually had numbered pages. A lot of the ones I've seen didn't, so I'm really excited that the one I got actually was numbered. Couple things. A lot of people were really nervous about Nuunas because they use leather in their products. I'm very happy to say that mine is not made out of leather. It is made out of a faux type of leather. I don't think it's on the back of this. I will hold this up for anyone who is curious and would like to read the nitty-gritty details here, but mine is not actually made out of leather. Some of them are, but I think that the type of covering that this is with the metallic makes it so that they don't do that, which is 100% fine with me. I don't mind at all. Some other things to talk about. There are no pockets. There is no pocket in this like you get in your Look Term or your Moleskine. I don't know if a Rodea has pockets or not. I've never gotten one, but there are no pockets. So if you want to store things, you will have to make your own pocket or get a cover that has pockets. I'm actually getting a cover for mine that will be here this weekend. I will be sure to review that and let you guys know what I think, because it is just a cheap one I got off Amazon, so I'm hoping for the best. One of the very important things I know people are worried about, the dot grid. Okay, so, and actually before I dive into that, the binding, I should probably bring this up before I get into it. So I've seen reviews from other people about the binding. It holds up fairly well. However, the binding along here will lose its color, it will distort, this will kind of like break away, which is understandable if you're opening and closing a book a lot and it's this kind of, you know, holographic type of thing. Just from the few times I've opened it, I've already had some wear and tear going on. I'll see if I can show that a little better, so you can kind of see the little lines that get left behind, and that happens on both sides. So we'll see how this holds up over time. That's just from me using it a few times here and there. Try and get my focus back. There we go. So also it does have this nice little bump here, so if you would like to put it inside of a traveler's notebook, I don't see how that would be a problem. You could just slip your little thread through there and you'd be fine. So I think it'd be good for using it as an insert in a travel notebook. Now it is supposed to lie flat, however it does not lie flat. I open it and it just falls closed again. There's not much I can do about that. Pretty much all I do is I use some clips and I hold it open, and that's about the best I can do. It still falls open, so my plan with me videos should be a little interesting. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do that. As far as how it holds, I've noticed as far as pencil goes, the pencil is fine. I'm not gonna be planning in pencil, obviously. This is just here for me to kind of sketch out where I'm gonna want things, how I'm gonna want things to look, because the grid. So the Nuuna uses a mini dot grid, which is almost half the size of a regular dot grid. So this is my like term. These are the dots inside the like term. I'm going to try really hard to get this to focus. There we go. So the dots on the like term are 5 millimeters, 5 something apart, 5 mm's. I'm assuming that's millimeters. So the Nuuna has these small, teeny tiny little grid, and that's bigger. It's roughly about half the size, so essentially 2 of these is one of those. So if that makes any sense. It is very, very small. That being said, the pages are a much brighter white. I can't show that properly in this video because my lighting is absolutely atrocious. But these are more of a yellow, like off-white colored pages. Oh my goodness. And the Nuuna is a much more bright, vibrant white, which I love. I love that it's white. I miss the white pages. As far as the paper quality goes, obviously the like term has a very thin type of paper. It's really good for, you know, watercoloring, mixed medium, stuff like that. Nuuna has a thicker paper, so while this has 200 and something pages, 250 pages give or take, I took some of these out, and this one only has 176. It is definitely a much smaller notebook in terms of size, but they are roughly the same thickness, so it gives you an idea of how thick these pages actually are. I have not written anything in this book yet, aside from my pencil. I thought that was something we could do together and hope for the best. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump to the back. Let me find my clips here. So I'm actually going, now I'm thinking because of this is the same on the front too. This page doesn't open all the way, so it's gonna crease like right there, which is absolutely obnoxious. I normally like to put the pen test right here, so I guess that's what I'm gonna do anyways. I'm gonna do it how I normally do it. And since I don't want to wreck the cover, I'm gonna just clip these to the pages. I promise no kitties are being beat. She just has a lot to say right now. Also, if you're curious on the sizes of the grid, I did write down on a post-it note right here. So it is 38 dots across by 55 dots up and down, and then 37 squares by 54 squares. So that gives you an idea of how many of these little teeny tiny itty bitty dots and squares there are. So, and if you're curious about the post-it note, this is just a post-it I got with my Planner Society kit. I believe it was from January. I don't really keep track of what month is from what, so if you're ever curious what came from what, your best bet is just back search her kits, because I really won't remember. Alright, so I got some of my favorite supplies out and ready. I don't want to bust out too many of them, so I'm going to just grab the main utensils here. So go for it. So we'll start with just my black pens. So the first pen I'm going to use is my Sharpie Fine. I will absolutely do a video with you guys soon showing all of the supplies I use. For now, I'm just going to write and go from there. As far as that goes, that wrote really smooth. Wow, okay. So next I'm gonna try, where they're gonna be in here, I bet. Try the two of my multi-liners that I use the most. So for multi-liners, I have a bunch of different ones. I have Microns, I have Stabilo, I think it's called. I have Faber-Castell. I personally like the Copic multi-liners the best. This is just because I found that they have the least bleed when it comes to writing over them with Tombows or mild liners. So for me, it's just easier to use these. When I do a video explaining all of my stuff, I will definitely bust out all of my art pens. I have so many different types. So as far as preference though, I swear by these, but everyone has their own. And every time I lift up, you're going to see what I mean about the pages not staying open. It's going to do this every time. I use a Hobonichi pen. This is just because I think it's easiest, not because of the red and the blue. I actually don't use the red or the blue on this, I just use the black. But I love the size of this pen. It is great. So this is normally my daily writer, so I'm curious about how this is going to work. There are a couple other pens I do want to try. One of them is my, if I can stop bumping into my desk, my Kit pen from October or November 2017. I'm not sure. This is a Planner Society pen, but it's one of the ones that I like to use, so I'm curious about how well this writes. Main worry with this is just how long it's going to dry. And then lastly, I want to try my, this is my Ted Baker Rose Gold pen. This is one of my favorite pens for just writing quick notes. I'm curious about how this writes because it's a regular ballpoint. And as far as sizing goes, I'm not sizing my pen test with the dots. I'm just writing and hoping for the best. So these are the black pens. Let me make sure I can see what I'm doing in the camera here. So focus that. And like I said, I'm not writing in the dots or the squares. I'm just writing to write. So I want to make sure that's dry before I turn the page. The TPS pen doesn't like to dry super quick. So all right, let's see. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. So let me yeah, that's pretty nice. There's very little ghosting. I'm really happy with the Sharpie and how the Sharpie turned out, especially since that one bleeds a lot when it comes to doing certain spreads and stuff, especially when I'm pushing with my ruler. I'm very heavy-handed when I write, which is another thing. Like when I write, this book doesn't lay flat, so like it definitely will push, you know, like one way or the other. So I'm really happy with how these pens are holding up, and it doesn't look like any of them really smeared. They dried pretty quickly, which is nice, especially for the TPS pen. So, I mean, I can't tell you in terms of like calligraphy how it's gonna hold up. I don't do calligraphy. My handwriting is not amazing or anything, so I definitely don't get into that. But for those of you who do get into that, from what I've heard and what I've seen, Boho Berry does a Noona review in one of her videos, and she does her nibbler and stuff like that, so you can definitely see what it does with most common calligraphy pens. Like I said, don't use one, so I can only just account for what I have. Blue works, and I'm actually going to switch to that. Okay, so I got some colors here. Like I said, I didn't want to do a whole bunch. I just picked my base ones, so I figured that'll work. So we'll start with the Stettler. As far as the Stettlers go, I have pretty much every color of Stettler. I just don't find myself using them. I feel they're a little heavy, but might as well see what it looks like, right? Okay, so that wrote really smooth, I'm not gonna lie. I like how they feel. The only reason I don't use Stettlers is they're just very inky. It didn't bleed or anything, that's nice. Okay, so we'll move on to the gel pen next. So I don't normally use these for planning, at least I haven't. That's subject to change, so I just figured I'd see what it looked like. Alright, next we'll do mild liner next. Tombow, we'll go with the brush first. Wow, the color on this is crazy. Okay, and lastly we got the twin tone. Alright, and just so we know what these are, grab a pen here. Alright, and for the back, so it looks like the mild liner had the most bleed. Not really bleed, but I guess ghosting. So yeah, I mean the pages are really definitely holding up nicely. I don't see any issue with any inks. I'm not going to try watercolor. I have definitely seen a lot of people say this does not hold up to watercolor at all. I don't I only just started watercoloring my Loic term. I actually prefer to tape in or glue in watercolor stuff. So that is not something I think I'm going to be including in this journal as far as that goes. Watercolor paper is very thick, so I really don't think that's something I'm going to want to add in. But otherwise, it definitely holds really nicely. I love how smooth everything wrote. I don't see any feathering from the pens that I do have. So, I mean, that doesn't really seem to be a problem I'm having. I think it's a great notebook. Personally, I really like it. It's not a hardcover, so you can bend it. It's small, you can throw it in your purse. It's just easy to pick up and grab and go. My only complaint is, yes, it's very small, so you can tell that just from what I've been trying to plan. You have to write very tiny. It's definitely not easy to plan. I absolutely love the notebook. I love the quality of the notebook. Seeing how it works now with pen, I absolutely adore it. But the micro dot grid, mini dot grid, whatever you want to call it, might not be for you. It is a very select desired taste. You could do what some people do, which is where you use 2 dots for one so that it's sized the same as the Loic term. However, if you get the small book, you don't have a lot of squares to work with. It is possible. I definitely don't recommend doing it that way personally, as someone who's used a pocket-sized journal in the past. Personally, I love the book. From what I understand, the large Nuuna also uses a mini dot grid. Boho Berry had a large Nuuna in her review, and it was also a mini dot grid, so that is something to think about. There is no index or anything like that. I actually made my own spot for an index. So there's no index, there's no pockets. So I mean, it really depends on if that matters to you. The pages are numbered. So that is, that's a plus. You at least have numbered pages. There's no perforated pages in the back like the Loic term has. We'll have perforated like 10 pages in the back if you need to rip any out. This is not like that. These pages do not come out as easy. The binding is a stitched binding, so it is nice binding. It does hold up really well. I've definitely been messing with this a lot since I got it. It takes fingerprints pretty easy. As you can tell, it's already pretty dirty. I've been taking my shirt randomly and I've been cleaning it a lot in my free time, so it definitely takes prints. Dings and scratches are a bit of a tough one. I will notice little dings or scratches here and there, but they kind of go away. So I feel like, in a way, depending on how bad the ding or scratch is, this is kind of like a self-healing mat. So even though I'm afraid to attach my binder clips to this, I could, and I think that it would be fine. I did for a second, and the marks from it are definitely long gone. So it does take some dings and scratches, and they don't show up too much, but we'll see how that does with wear and tear. I've only had it for 3 days, so I can only speak for those 3 days. I hope I gave you guys a good idea on what to expect with the Nuuna. Personally, I really like it. The pages are nice and thick. They are very nice feeling. The dot grid isn't too dark, but it's not too light. As far as it goes, I love it. I definitely recommend it for someone who wants to try a smaller grid, a smaller notebook. The large is a little bit bigger than an A5, so if you want to try a bigger one, that's an option. Just remember that the grid size is small. Make sure you are prepared for this, because it is much smaller than a normal notebook, and if you do not write small, or you don't think you can write small, I don't recommend getting it. Nuunas are on the pricier side. It actually cost me more to get a Nuuna than it does to get a Loic term, so keep that in mind when you get one. They are on the more expensive side of notebooks. Another thing I should probably throw out before I completely forget is there are no bookmarks, and I know that's going to make a lot of people upset. So if you don't mind not having an index, if you don't mind no pocket, if you don't mind no bookmark, and you like having a mini grid, this is a great notebook. The pages are thick, they're white, they hold really nicely. There was barely any ghosting, absolutely no bleed through, even with my Sharpie, which was amazing. So, I mean, it really is going to be on you. For me personally, I love it. It is probably my new favorite notebook. In my next video, I hope to sit down and go over not only my supplies, but I also really want to do my first plan with me video. So as far as that goes though, I'm so excited. I cannot wait to actually sit down and do my first ever, plan with me video, get this set up with you guys for, March, and I cannot wait. Everything I mentioned that needs to be linked will be linked down below. I will have a link to the Leuchtturm website. I will have a link to Nuuna. I will link to Paper Penguin, Boho Berry's video. Just anything I can think of that I mentioned that needs to be linked, I will link down below. Otherwise, check out my Instagram. I try to be a little bit more active on there than anywhere else. I am also in the Amino group. If you are not, check it out. It is so much fun. It is a great community. I absolutely love seeing the things people share, and I'm not gonna lie, every time one of my spreads gets featured, I absolutely get so ecstatic and my insides get all giddy, and I'm so excited. I actually gush to my boyfriend and be like, baby, they featured one of my spreads again, and I get so excited. It is a great place to be. It has definitely built my confidence with bullet journaling and has made me so much more excited and confident to share the things I make with you guys. I'm so sorry, my cats are like freaking out right now and knocking everything over, which means it's probably time to end this video. I'm so excited to create with you guys again in my next one. I cannot wait. I hope this gives you a better idea of the Nuuna and if you think it's for you or not. But until next time, happy planning and bye-bye everybody.